Ah, shitty mic boom. Be gone! Ah, got a new one, finally. Ready for it? Ready? Fuck that one. Okay. We're here. We're going hard today. You know, I've been doing a ton of stuff with affiliate that I can't even teach you guys yet. It's so good. Let me prove it first. Make some money. Then I got you guys, okay? Make you some money too, but I can make you money in other ways. I don't just want to do affiliate content because I am #1 marketer in the galaxy, #7 universe wide. Fact. Marketing fact, which are always a little questionable. Anyways, we got background music. We got capture card working. I don't want to jinx it. You can see the new mic stand. And look, I got room to move my hands. It's a miracle! Bam! Okay, so what do we want to talk about today? Marketing funnels. I've ran a lot of funnels, and I know the 2022 meta. Pretty sure I know the 2023 meta. It's changing. Tides are changing. It was one of the hardest years probably for marketing funnel. Not for marketing funnels. Funnels were good. The offers were shit. So like bad offers, yeah, they got taken behind the barn. Some clients would put it. Took them behind the barn. Kill them, because the best marketing funnel, it can help a mediocre offer and it could probably make some of them work, but it's not going to work in 2023. So step 1, good offer. And that's why affiliate's easy. I get to, like, I don't even have to make the offer. I don't have to think about it. The offers come to me, which I even had. I had a couple offers come to me this week, which is amazing. Like, I'm getting to work with some of the... One advantage to being a affiliate versus an agency is agencies, you get in this, like, death spiral of just taking all the worst. And as the Germans say, don't bring out the best in me. Yeah, it never works. It's not good. You don't get to pick the offer. So sometimes I'd always avoid it. You know, we're always the agency. Well, when I did agency stuff, it's like spend 50,000. If you're successful, I'll take you up. I'll give you all the spend. You know, 50,000, 500,000. Let's go. But without a proven offer, it's like we might as well own your business. I'm just saying. Like, if I have to make your offer too at the same time, ugh. But anyways, I digress. Let's get on the topic. Let's talk about funnels and the history of kind of what was working, what is working now, and go from there. You know, we had a very long health issue where a lot of funnels that did work during that time, they don't work anymore. So if you're stuck, it was always the worst when clients would come to me and they'd be like, hey, I heard about this funnel, knowing that funnel is like a year old, aka doesn't work anymore, and it's not the ideal meta of what you could possibly be doing right now. So let's talk about it. Let's talk. I got the whiteboard out. I don't have my pen because I couldn't connect wirelessly. I'll figure it out. I'm a problem solver. It's what I do. Wanks. Anyways, in the chat we have Patrick, the vegetable destroyer, the vegan sensation, the marketing grasshopper, who's actually now very good at grasshoppering.
Hey everybody!
There we go. There's the intro. And then
What up?
Yeah, we got Miss Tiffany, wife of the #1 marketer of the galaxy, #7th universe wide. How we doing, Miss Tiffany?
Hello.
There we go. So yeah, I wanted to just talk about funnels and do some like overall marketing. Since I don't do service anymore, I can give it away for free. It sucks to be you guys who have to charge for it because I'm just gonna give it away for free. So let's talk funnels. I'm a lot of info funnel based. So we're gonna talk first about info funnel. This isn't gonna be any kind of like, there is a lot of magic Salt Bay that happens with like other different things, but just kind of like where we were with funnels. And there's different funnels that you have to use for different things. A lot of it is price point. And as I always say, and this gets me in trouble, sorry, But marketing is romance. You can't just go from a short 3-second ad to a $10,000 mastermind payment. It doesn't work. It matters of the funnel. Like, there's different funnels that have different advantages. So some funnels, it's really to the quality of calls that you're getting from the funnel, and you can move stuff around in order to affect that, but your costs go up, and then hopefully your quality goes up too at the same time. Maybe not, but it's one of those things. It's 10:37 p.m. too, Pacific time. Realize no one's going to watch it live, but let this be a resource to echo on throughout eternity, infinitely, hopefully. If not, that's fine too. So, I dealt with a lot of high ticket stuff, and high ticket during COVID was really interesting. Let's get that sample text. Okay. Hey, I heard this text color already. Come on. There we go. Size 32 for all my blindies out there. You know what? Let's bring it to for all the Peggies and Harolds in the audience. Let out. So it was interesting during COVID. So as everybody's heard of a webinar funnel before, webinar funnels they're the OG. There's a disadvantage to them though, where it's like they go through waves of kind of what works for webinar and what doesn't. It's with everything. It's kind of like, to some extent, infomercials were the first webinar, and we have a similar funnel to webinar, which is called VSL, which is basically a video sales letter. Which, how is it a letter if it's a fucking video? That's question one you should be asking yourself. I always have 240 font. Okay, we're able to see a bit better than that. Oh, so we'll go VSL. And typically these are kind of like your high ticket funnels, and it's just because of the whole marketing is romance thing. You got to. They I hate referencing they say, but it's kind of the whole, like, if you want to sell something that's high ticket, you typically do it through something like this because it gives you a lot of different steps, and a lot of time. Like, time is a big thing. Webinars are typically like an hour long. It can be over an hour. They can be even longer than that. So it's really a question of, like, yeah, you may have the funnel, but there's kind of different steps leading to webinars and VSLs. I almost consider them the same thing, because what happens with webinar is just pretending pretty much to be live or actually being live. If you're actually live, don't call it a webinar, call it something else. Call it like some type of event name, etc. I'm not going to tell you the exact names I've used out of respect for all the people that I've set up with the actual terminology I currently use. Webinar, it's one of those things, and like with all this stuff, marketers ruin it. So marketers ruined webinar funnels and VSL. Well, they ruined webinars mainly, like the fake timer. For the longest time, it would work where you could just do like a fake, like, oh, guess what? I'm shooting this. And there's a webinar every 15 minutes that goes on for 3 hours. Like, if you do the math, you're like, wait a second. How the hell did he clone himself that much? You know, I don't understand. I don't understand the numbers for it. So people started catching on to it. These webinar funnels really got, I want to call it a webinar funnel, but typically how it would go, and there's multiple ways. You could do like a webinar that would, like, in the end, you're going for usually a phone call sale. And these funnels are stuff that is ideal for a high ticket. So a high ticket is basically text. It's like, for this kind of, to a phone sale, high ticket is typically kind of like your 4,000, let's just say 7,500. Some people consider over that high ticket. Like, there's different terminology in the industry. Let's just call high ticket kind of this amount, and this is typically like something, it should have the actual value, but it'll be something like a course, some type of big info product that's going to make a large difference in your life, etc. Delete it. Let's just And then you have also like under that is an auto webinar. I'm not sure why does it default to red. Can we stop that whiteboard? I wish I had my pen. So an auto webinar, you're typically doing 997, not 996. Fuck that. That's low ticket. But to like a 2000, and the difference between that is let's see if we'll just add it. Auto webinar. Select it all. Add in those color zeros. 42. Peggies. Arrows out there. So this is typically webinar to a sales page, and it's an automatic sale. So to phone call, it's interesting, and this is kind of true for all types of funnel. That you really can't sell unless you're somebody that's already, unless it's something like it's to your internal audience or they've already bought something expensive, etc. They're not going to pay more than $2,000 without talking to some kind of person. They can, like you can do it, but it's just where it seems to be like the sweet spot, kind of that 997 to 2000. Anything over in Sam Oven talks about this a lot. Like I've went to Sam Oven's mastermind, etc. I've done all the masterminds. Kind of nutty actually. So these were kind of like the main things that were running during COVID, and they're good methods. And they still kind of work. Of course, a factor is like how good your offer is for it. But this doesn't even have to be like for this stuff, auto webinar, etc. You can still do these funnels. Like let's say if I was a photographer or something like that, I would do like a VSL to like a book an appointment, etc. But there's different ways of qualifying on top of these. So during COVID, these worked. Everything worked during COVID. Everything. It was like they called it Christmas in May, Christmas in June, Christmas in July, not so much Christmas in August, and then it was more Halloween in September. At that point. But there's lots of different ways to actually change up these funnels for just kind of what your goals are. Like for the phone, it would be like an application itself typically, so they'd like put in their information and then get access to it. But sometimes what you do is you'd add a survey to it first, and this is really just for like, let's say for example you do a webinar funnel and you have 900 phone calls from it and you only have one sales guy. It's not going to work out so well. So it's like, okay, how do we drop the number of basic like applications but increase the quality? So we still want to sell that many. We either hire more salespeople or we qualify them more, because there's a lot. If we just go directly to a phone application at this point, it doesn't. You'll get a lot of weirdos too at the same time, people who aren't qualified, etc. And then you also have the option is like sometimes what you do is like, okay, I want all the phone applications, but I want to qualify them after, and at that point, you do like a survey after. So instead of doing a survey before they even get the phone appointment, you do a survey after. And that was kind of how you kept your, it's like, look, it's the best of both worlds, etc. Which was, you know, it's amazing. You can, like, let's say if your CPAs and everything are still good at this point, you could try it the other way around, and that's going to give you a higher qualification. Or at least basically what you can set up for it is something else. I don't want to go too much into webinars. I want to talk about all the different types of funnels. But when it comes to like selling this type of stuff, you're typically, and the thing is like a VSL can have the exact same path as the actual webinar itself. You could basically go VSL, phone application, survey. One thing that's talked a lot about in different groups right now, Alan Sultanic, absolute legend, one of the best in my opinion. He has this new version where he basically, like, there's modifiers you can do to it to make this better, because as the time goes on, and you know, people make absolute millions from these, and everybody, you know, all the foam on the top that's easy to convert, they get hit with it. So it's like you have to do stuff like not phrase it as a webinar, call it like a live event or something like that, or just basically change it up to make it easier. And basically, like, one of them was that, you know, I believe he was the inventor of it, and so I'll give him full credit. This wasn't me by any chance. This just kind of looking at what works, and that's like a podcast to a similar thing. So it was like to a phone application, and what that did was there's two types of content that you could advertise. You're either direct response, which is like, hey, I want to show an example that's proper. Well, we can't sell cigar. I have this pen. Tell me this fucking pen. I have so one ad. Direct response is, look, red pen, go buy it. It's $9.99. And then we have content ads, which is stuff you see like, where it's not actually like, hey, watch, you know, read this article, watch this. Where it's not, it doesn't get people's guard up. So when you advertise a podcast, like, people are used to watching podcasts. People are used to like watching Joe Rogan and all the other podcasts that are out there. So the whole purpose of this one was like, hey, you know, it's another way around a webinar. There's a lot of built-in functions for it. Like, it builds social proof. It builds everything else. There's big advantages to this one, in kind of a newer age. And I almost think it's almost before its time right now. Like, and it can work really well on the policy side. Listen up, affiliates. Because when you do a podcast, you don't make claims. A lot of the times you're talking about yourself, and it's a podcast format, so you're not doing it as a presentation to somebody. It's like, hey, I was just talking to Joe about this. It wasn't against policy. So I think podcasts, like, it may be the future, even if policy just goes in and they're like, we don't like your salesy webinars around here. It could potentially work for it, but doing like testing overall.
On that? You mean it's a podcast? It's like it's a video of a podcast on the page. It's not.
Yeah,
like
it's literally you're sending them to a podcast, but that podcast is specifically shot to sell your product. It's like every other Joe Rogan podcast you watch, and when people are on late night TV and everything else, it's not just because they're like, oh, I'm in town and I want to visit Jay Leno. Not that he's an example anymore. But like, I just wanted to visit Jay Leno. No, they're selling a movie. So it's like, I think David Goggins is the best example. David Goggins was just on the Joe Rogan podcast. And what did he sell? His new book. And it wasn't just a sales thing. Like, it was an interview with David Goggins. You got to find out more about the actual legend himself. He talks about it. But at the same time, at the end of watching the podcast, you're like, damn, I want to buy that book. And it wasn't just him sitting there being like, hey, you guys just buy my book. Like, here's my book that I wrote. It's 500 pages. Buy my book. No, it's like it's set up as a conversation. So you mimic a podcast, but it's specifically made to sell. Which is an amazing way to do it. Webinars still outperform, though. Believe it or not. Because you still have to get people to click through, etc. But I think like somewhat of the future is going that way. And there's even ways like you're basically... And it depends on the product in the industry. You're trying to master basically through these funnels, and you don't have to go directly. It's not a direct thing. Like, you could sell stuff in front of a webinar, or you could do stuff to qualify it more. Like, there's companies that will sell the free plus ship book, or like ClickFunnels, for example. They're just basically, they're selling you into something to qualify you to take their webinar, to buy ClickFunnels, etc. Everything like that, where it's like you set up something ahead of it, and it could have two different purposes. It could be somewhat of a Trojan horse, where for policy, it's like, let's say if I have a crypto webinar and Facebook hates it, like they ban me from the platform. If I were to put like, hey, check out my new book, Matt Farmer's Amazing Dream, and that book just sold you on just my story and just got you into my webinar that's crypto. It's like, hey, I just advertised crypto, and you'll have the function of like that. Those users are more qualified. They've already spent money on me. You know, they're willing. Like they're
baby.
Yeah, exactly. You could use movies like that, like the movie The Secret. Everyone's all about like they're obsessed with The Secret, Law of Attraction. That thing was a fucking sales funnel. I worked with all the people from The Secret. Well, not all of them. There's one that I didn't. He passed away. Rip Bob. But I've worked with a lot of those guys, talked with a lot of those guys, etc. A lot of it, what it did for their careers is they weren't selling like a law of attraction. A lot of the people on there, it was a funnel into their high ticket products and everything else. And now's the time. So I don't have any. It's too late for energy drinks. I don't really drink. But this beer's been sitting in my fridge for about 9 months now, so it's gonna be awful. So don't judge me. I don't know if I'm allowed to drink on stream, but whatever. Cancel me.
You're just not allowed to throw up.
No, you're not allowed to endanger yourself. That's the difference. So I wanted to do a day in the life of like an affiliate marketer and have like Tiff film me and stuff and have me just crack 2 energy drinks and just pour like Steve Austin. Don't pull Steve Austin, pour them into my mouth. Like not even pretending like she's not there, just crushing them in the background and just turning around and be like, oh, hey honey, what are you doing? She's like, nothing, just shooting video of your normal day. You know, and then just going hard at the marketing stuff. So that's the whole endangerment part. But yeah, the thing about like funnels can make an absolute massive difference in any kind of product. They're not just for like everything is a funnel. And I hate the term because it became like a marketing term. It's kind of like what's your website with CPA? Like what's your converting website? Like everything, like I get it. It's like a funnel. One of the things when I used to work with tons of sports brands, what they would always do wrong is like, and what the big agencies always do wrong is they're sitting there just, you know, they're rubbing their nips and being like, oh, you know, look at the reach, look at the effect, etc. But they're not building, like, they're not getting leads, they're not getting people to come back. Like, of course, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with branding advertising. Branding, like, that's a special beast in itself. But I'd work with them and basically go direct response. So it's like, hey guys, are we getting emails? Like, are we growing our audience? Are we doing this? Are we doing that? They're like, what do you mean? How many people did we? Oh God. So what we did is like, and that's a good way. It's also a good way of just measuring the temperature for how effective your ads are too at the same time. So I worked with this massive boxing organization. It was a very similar thing, and it really changed. So we basically made a funnel for them that didn't really exist before. F1 was the first people to use it because it was the same investment company. But what happened was we're spending millions of dollars on these events. And the amount of people you keep for, let's say we promote a massive fight. You promote it, there's a good story, you get okay numbers for it. But at the end of the day, you're in this hamster wheel of like, all right, let's pump another 5 million into the advertising budget and get all these people to watch, but you're not really retaining people. You're not keeping people. Like that is the big problem. So what we did, and this just wasn't, you know, it wasn't completely my idea, but I went behind it and I used marketing to really grow it, is we had a calendar application where if they put in their email, it would send them a dynamic calendar invite, basically, where they'd add it to their calendar and all the fight events would add automatically to their calendar. The weigh-ins, the pre-fight, the fight, everything on whatever calendar they use, we do that. So like during the actual promotion of the event, we'd be like, hey, sign up and never miss a boxing event ever. And so we'd get people to sign up, and that was like kind of an audience, our free audience that we're slowly growing. Because if you're always just throwing money into it and you're getting like the bump up is just from all the money, you're always going to be spending $5 million per event. So we did that and it was amazing. You know, we controlled so many calendars, hundreds of thousands of calendars, where even like years later we're still able to put events in their calendar and everything, and so it'd have more people tuning in, and it was just naturally a really good thing to do. But where it really got interesting is, you know, you let the numbers tell you kind of what's working. And during the event, like, of course, we'd get let's say we got them for, say, like $5 per calendar sign up. And if we spent 5 million, who cares? That's fucking, that's 1 million calendars per event that we're getting access to. And it's just like, huh. And then what happened was after the event, so we'd have this massive like $5 million budget. And after the event, what would happen is basically, we'd release, so we'd spend all that money, and then after the event we'd spend say like 25,000 just to promote like that the event happened and the results and everything else. And we got them to cut up these knockout highlights or like fight highlights that were just fuck it, they went viral. I'd spend 25K on them and get more reach out of that than I would from the $5 million. So it was like, hey, this is something we have to look at. The marketing numbers are telling us, and the calendar signups were like pennies on the dollar. Instead of paying $5, let's say we paid 50 cents, so it was 10 times cheaper. And it was really just a method where it's like, well, if we want to grow this new league, what's the best way to do it? And it's like, well, it's not to spend $5 million every single event. Even if that event was successful and made money, it doesn't, you're on the hamster wheel. I hope you have $5 million, and if you have anything fail, then basically you make nothing from it and the whole model stops working itself. So basically after finding that, I'm like, hey guys, let's half our budget. 2.5 million to promote, 2.5 million to push them to the CPA, like to the funnel, the conversion, let's call it, just for the sake of not using that. What would happen is it had a viral coefficient of over 1. And that means that, like, for everyone that saw it, and basically there was a share. And not 100% shares, but for every share, more people would watch it and more people would share it. So it created this snowball effect. And we'd have people like Tito Ortiz, and at the time he was a big name. We're talking back in my marketing career. But it was one of those things where it was like, all right, the numbers are telling us this is... the whole model is all wrong, and we have to do CPA, we have to do a funnel, and that's what most businesses get wrong. They put on a website. It's not a conversion website. It doesn't have a purpose. And once you have a purpose and you can measure the purpose, like that's when you can really see like how good am I advertising to my audience? Like how much info am I actually providing them? Like what's the value here? Like what's good, what's not good, etc. So that's one of those things that you really want to factor. And this is why like we do the funnel. And of course I have tons of experience with high ticket, and it's really just the art of moving this all around so you find a good equilibrium of like, okay, for this way I get the most efficient people to my sales. Like, yeah, let's say if you don't do the romance part of marketing, if you didn't have this webinar and you went from ad to phone application, you get thousands of phone applications, but Peggy and Harold, they'd be half of them, and your phone people would take tons of time on them. It wouldn't be efficient. So that's why it's like, okay, we put a webinar first. We get someone into this free training. We give them a sample. We get that hour of romance. So these are kind of that method for it. There is another method that no one wants to do that it works really well. Like a webinar, it's just a free event. So it's pretty much the same kind of model where you say, hey, we're doing this free event, sign up. And it's almost like to some extent like a preview. You could call it a preview. And that's what all the old real estate guys used to call it. And this isn't a physical preview. You could do just like a virtual preview. It's a webinar in the end, It's just a different way of pushing it through where it's like, hey, we advertise for it, and then they basically do the pitch at the end. They send them to the phone application, or they send them to a survey first to get the quality and kind of go from there. And those are the best funnels that actually convert and they work, and they still work to this day. It does kind of go along a line of like there's efficiency that goes through, like the whole webinar countdown thing and pretending to be live, etc. Not working so much anymore. People are catching on. I think a better one is not to lie to people and just send them directly to a VSL. It's either a VSL or actually do a live event, you lazy bastards. Don't lie to people. Don't be like that. But it's just a good way to do it, and that's more on like the high ticket front. Like e-com in general is a funnel too as well, but it's typically like, we'll call it just like a low ticket sale. Let's get some red text in here. Bam. And also for every additional step, there's less efficiency. So the issue with that is like for the more steps you send them through, the more drop-offs it's going to have. Like, all these people get so romantic about, no, I want them to watch these 2-hour videos or like 37 video series, and then they get access to the webinar. And it's like, you really have to counter the drop-off for it. Even live events, people also did challenges. Challenges was a funnel. Lots of people like to take credit for making that, but they didn't. So big fuck off to those people. You know who you are. Stop ripping my old clients off. 204 font. But like, a challenge is just basically an extended phone to... Challenge was a similar thing, but the issue with challenges is that everyone would do them for way too long, and it was so much work to constantly every single time. Like, a challenge funnel is like, here's our 5-day start your own business challenge. Matt's 37-day become an affiliate master challenge. Ooh, okay today. And challenge funnels, they kind of, they did okay at the beginning. They did really well during COVID because people just, they wanted something like that. They wanted purpose. So in a world where people wanted purpose, you know, that can that can be good. Challenge funnels aren't so good right now. It's a lot of work on your side, or on the client side, or on whatever side you're actually doing. So you're, instead of doing like a one-time webinar that's already recorded or anything like that, or a live event, you're like, guess what? We're doing a live event for 5 days. It's a 1-week challenge. It's a lot of work that way. So it's like, you know, you eventually kind of burn out from it. What are you going to run a challenge? Because it takes prep time. And then after the challenge, so it's typically a free challenge, you have to sell them something. And then the thing that you sell them is going to take you another week too. So next thing you know, you're just in that constant hamster wheel, nightmare mode, etc. Well, like, when it comes to lifestyle and everything, it's kind of between the webinar and VSL, like non-live versions of them, or like an auto webinar. I find in order to make an auto webinar work, you have to have this one or this one working first. Like, you almost have to master the high ticket to be able to do the auto webinar, just because it's less money you get to work with to generate those leads and everything else. When you have this much advertising spend, it's hard. It's hard to get sales. You know, it's hard to get to that point. So you need a lot of people going through it, and this gives you a lot of buffer room, and it also helps that you're going to a salesperson. So that's always a good thing, like having a salesperson, etc. And going there high ticket. Like, if I were to recommend, if you're selling something of high ticket, start with one of the high ticket funnels. Don't try to do auto webinar right from the beginning. It can work. Like, it's kind of reserved for pretty good people. It's just these margins, like the margin on the sale for an auto webinar, always less than it is when you have a salesperson involved, because you're able to have a live person handle objections, etc. But now with ChatGPT or GPT, you can have someone handle objections for... No, that doesn't typically work. So an example of a low ticket would be like a product page, going to like cart, the sale, and this, you know, low ticket is like your products, your pretty much everything, and it doesn't have to have it. Like, typically the whole low ticket is an arbitrage play, where it's like, you would just want something like, let's say you're selling a product. I sell slinkies. I want to be able to spend, you know, $1 and make $2 back, etc. That's kind of like your low ticket, etc. kind of funnel. It's usually pretty simple. You don't want to add too many steps to this funnel. Like, there can be some disadvantages. But let's talk about the one we've all been waiting for. All my DGen affiliates out there, which is all the affiliate funnels that you can potentially run. So affiliate is interesting because you have other people's products, other people's landing pages. Like, typically they have the funnel all set up for you, but you do have some wiggle room when it comes to the affiliate funnels, because you basically have, you can add steps really easily, but you can't, it's hard to take steps away. Makes it a little bit harder for you on that side because they have the funnel unless you send directly to the cart. Like with affiliate funnels, you can typically, oh no I don't. Okay, we're gonna do this one small. Peggy can't see. So with an affiliate, not you.
Oh, okay.
Huh? Sorry, I call my wife. We call each other Peggy and Harold if we're ever acting old and bitter at each other. It's hilarious. So she answers to Peggy. I answer to Harold. Yeah, no, I'm definitely a Harold. We're all assholes at some point, you know?
I'm like a Peggy and Betty.
Yeah, exactly. Peggy, Betty, you've had all the names for it. It's good to be able to call each other out without feelings getting hurt. So you have the option of a landing page, like using their landing page. This is one of the popular ones, but you risk, there's lots of problems with sending to their landing page. You get stuff like duplicate content, which isn't good. You don't want duplicate content. Like if Facebook sees like a bunch of people are promoting to the same page with the same ads and everything, you don't want to do that. There's the one that I mastered, which is a landing page you create. Let's add more to it.
You're not streaming on Facebook, by the way.
Really?
Yep. Not that I see.
It says it's streaming.
Maybe it's not refreshed. Your last live was number 8.
No, that's because that's the one I pinned. I'm live, baby.
Your last live was number 8. Oh yeah, that messed me up.
Yeah. See, the pinning isn't so good
I
for
messed
it.
up.
See, I'll click into it. So we should be good there. Got it? Bam. All right. So mine is basically, the way that I get around it is, so there's landing pages. I don't like using the affiliates landing page. Number one, it gets pounded with traffic, and it's usually not made that well. It's usually not made that fast. I believe I could do it better. Not always the case, and I could also I have control of what it says, so it can be policy friendly. I don't have to add what they'd call like you know, a jump, an advertorial. Some call it like a bridge page, which I guess like a bridge page is kind of like a group pages. So I do it as a publication, as like a top product, just to get around that because I don't want the steps. Where? So affiliate, like I found this works really well for me, where it's just like a recommended product, etc. And really it has to be done this way just because of the whole third-party rules and everything with advertising networks. Like, and also you shouldn't pretend to be the actual brand itself, because you're not. And a lot of them have rules against it. So it's like, how do you get around that? That's a pretty good way to do it. Next one, I'll go into it. Yeah, I'll touch on this a bit of just like different methods that they use. Some do like an advertorial. You can do like an advertorial. And what's an advertorial? It's like an editorial, but it's an advertorial because it's like you get to rate the article about yourself. If they're like, instead of a reporter doing it, like, you know, Matt Farmer, our smoking affiliate degenerate who streams from time to time, versus me saying it, I'd be like, world's #1 or galaxy's #1 marketer, #7 universe wide, etc. You can say a lot better things. So a lot of them will be like, advertorials can go different ways. Like you could have reviews of the product itself. So you can do it as like a product review. You could do it as like editorial piece. If you're really sketchy, you could do it as like a news article. It's like pretend to be CNN. This is the top cancer removing thing, etc. Like there's lots of different options for it. People also call this like a bridge page. This line's going right into my head. Here, one sec, let me move out of the way. Bam. There's lots of different ways to do it too. And then you also have listicles. So you can say like top books of 2005, etc. So this is a way that you can do it. And the downside for this one is you're adding a hop to it. So you have your landing page here, put some L's there, and then your cart, we'll call it C for cart. And then, so basically you normally have this jump, and this jump is going to be more efficient, typically, not always, than pushing them through more. The advantage is you can advertise it as like content, or you can organically, basically, yeah, kind of go from there. You know what we should do? Probably shouldn't. I was going to flip myself and put myself upside down the screen, but let's keep it reasonable. So what an advertorial does is, or anything like that, a bridge, etc., is it adds another jump to it. So we got your A right here. And this, it lets you kind of, you know, let's build a wall right here. It kind of builds a wall between you and the landing page itself. So instead of advertising the landing page directly, let's say if it doesn't fall under policy, you could have it as like a news article, etc. People are catching on to a lot of these different things, but it can be an effective way of doing it. I just find you have to have a lot of efficiency in these in order to work, which is why I make hybrids on my side versus kind of sending them through that, unless you could have a function that can make it even better. Another one that's I think it's Ryan Levesque, quiz funnels that could go into it. So a quiz funnel is something like, you know, find out your personality type and sell them like a horoscope thing, or let's say for the health niche of just like, you know, take this quiz, and people love quizzes too at the same time. And basically, you know, it sends them into it. So quiz, it's the same kind of thing where we have the quiz at the front. Based on the result, they can get different products, which will go to like typically different landing pages. It doesn't have to. Sometimes it's not going to go to a different landing page. Like sometimes the quiz result is like, you need this diet pill. It's like, but I said I'm fit, bodybuilding, Mr. Universe. And they're like, no, you need the diet pill, bud. And then, you know, that all goes to, you know, your cart pages, etc. So it's a good way of doing it. And you can advertise normal products this way too at the same time. Like these aren't just affiliate only. If you own a product, if you're generating leads, if you're doing anything, like even as like a webinar, you can use all this stuff. You can do like quiz to webinar. You can do reviews to webinar, like reviewing Matt's money making cigar smoking fuckery. We can do that, an editorial piece on like, you know, the internet marketer that no one has heard of that's making big money online. We can do a news article like man arrested for making too much money online, and then it goes up to my webinar or the podcast or my challenge or my VSL or my auto webinar or my product page or anything like that. So it's just like with funnels and everything, it's just kind of moving around the pieces and trying to crack it. Like for back when I did it, I had to figure this out kind of before the word funnel existed, but I was just trying to make everything into a conversion. So it was like, for me, it's like, what's the goal of the business? Who do they need? What do they need? What kind of people is it? So you're always kind of moving around these pieces in order to qualify. Like even with the webinar funnel, like let's say sold a book, and then to, you know, from that point, from the book, they go to webinar. From that point, they go to, I was going to draw a phone. They go to, let's call it cart or call. I'll write call in here. I'm absolutely horrible at drawing with my mouse, so bear with me. That's why we're using text on all this and dealing with that stupid red font. I should really do it in Photoshop, but whatever. But yeah, there's lots of different funnels you could do. Local business is typically like, and the thing is, even with all these funnels, you just want to make it as easy as possible for them to get kind of like to the next step. You're looking at different things like that. Like even, you know, a webinar funnel, you're looking at better ways. Should I have my sign up above the fold? Answer yes. Should I do a long form page, etc.? It's like, this is really the creative part of being a good like marketing strategist to some extent. This all requires the offer to be good. Like even if it's a bad affiliate offer, like, you know, it's like if we did my affiliate product was like, you know, pay $10,000 and Matt will come disrespect you and your family. You know, maybe. I say that now and it's like, wow, demand for this is huge. But really, it's like with proven offers at that point. And what's a proven offer? A proven offer is something where you can do most of these funnels and have it either very close to successful or not. And like one of the ways that I test funnels at the beginning is I don't have to, because a lot of the times with an agency and stuff, you don't have a choice. I can't pivot their entire business. I could try. Sometimes I do. But it's like, okay, I have all this. It's like, what's going to be the best thing for it? And especially, it depends like how established they are and what other you know, whether problems they've had. Is it a scale issue? Just really identifying the problem itself, where it's like, hey, this is where it kind of struggles. And then you also start to learn like the landing page conversions and everything. It's like typically like with a webinar, VSL podcast, or anything that requires a lead from the beginning. I typically range those where it's like 10% is minimum, 20% good, 30% rock star, and anything over like 30% is definitely, and that's kind of with all these, just on like the opt-in itself, where like you eventually learn what all the numbers have to be, and then you learn what the conversion rates have to be. Like, oh, I have to get, and like with webinar, you typically look, or any of these VSL, etc. You'd look at stuff like, you know, what's the watch time? How many people are clicking the CTA? So that's like the next thing you'd look at for it. And like, that's where a lot of the key in optimization is. And like, when I'd really try to figure out business problems, etc., it was really just the fact of like, all right, what's off? What's not looking good here? You know, like it's like looking at stuff like CTRs, like click-through rates on your ads. So that's basically, you know, what percent of people click on the ad itself. And it's like typically you're aiming for like a 1%. But usually for like, I find physical products, kind of want like 1% plus. Because yeah, that's an order, like typically the CTR represents your cost overall. So it's interesting. Like, let's say, and I've had lots of situations before where the webinar itself, where I'd see like, what are the costs from the ads? The ads are like $7, but it gets a 20%, $7 per click, but it gets a 20% opt-in rate. I'm like, okay, it's not the webinar's problem, even though they're like, kill the fucking webinar. No, it's not the webinar's problem. It's the fact that you're paying $7 to get somebody there. It's almost looking for like, of your funnel, kind of looking at what all the percentages and drop off are. And that's when I talk about like, when you add stuff to a funnel, that because every time there's going to be a certain kind of percentage drop, and everything else, like that's why you really kind of want to look at each step of it and figure out where the problem is. Like a lot of times for a webinar, I'd have all the stuff locked in. We'd have, say, a 1% click-through rate. We'd have an opt-in of 20%. And then it's like you look at book calls, 0. And you're like, okay. Well, everything to that point, people were excited. They're excited. But you mentioned that part about coming to my house and disrespecting my family, so I didn't sign up. Like, that could be an offer problem. That could be there. Like, you really want to kind of go to the webinar and figure out like why isn't it engaging people, looking at all the stats. Is there certain parts of the video where they drop off, etc.? It's really just kind of like you put together, you're like, you have a board and a bunch of stickers, and you're like, I'm going to do this, and this, and this is what I want from it. Then you look at all the different hops between it and be like, does it make sense? Where's the drop off? Where are people having problems? And sometimes, you know, you'll find both that are bad. Your webinar has a shit opt-in rate. Your ads, shit CTR. So you're paying $10 per click and you have a 1% opt-in. So congratulations, you just spent a lot of money for somebody to even view the webinar itself. But you look at all these steps and you're like, does this make sense compared to a good, like how this should how a good one would perform. See, I have the advantage of knowing the past data for it. Um, and typically you look at it in that order until you get the next number. Like if you never get a call booking, it's very hard to figure out like, oh, I wonder if it's the call booking page. Like, no, man, you're looking too far. You got to look at the early stuff first. Like, what's your click cost? What's inefficient? Like, what's kind of off that industry standard? Because if everything flows and everything goes at the right cost, it should work. And that's why I typically have a rule for affiliate, where I like to market stuff that's kind of like that $30 to $70 range. I'll take higher, the $1,000 payout. Fuck yeah. But because of the fact that if I get $1 clicks, that means like from the landing page. So let's say from my publication, if I get $1 clicks and I only make $5, I need 1 in 5 to convert on it to break even. So instantly you're at this point where you're like, all right, I need a 20% purchase. And I know based on click, 1% is kind of like, okay, 2% is pretty good. 3% and higher is really good. Not 20%. Like, it's possible. It's not that it's not possible. And there will be anomalies and everything based on it. And it even works that way for like local business. Let's just do an example, because lots of people have their own business, and like local business is honestly really easy to advertise. And no offense to anybody who's trying and falling flat, it's just because I've been doing it for a very long time. So like, let's say if you have local business, all you're looking for is client acquisition. So you're typically doing something like, it's a one-stop shop. Like, let's say you're a plumber or something. Yeah, Harold the plumber. Peggy takes care of finance for it. Let's say if you're doing something like that, local business, got to give it that bolding. You're typically doing stuff like lead gen page. So it's like with this plumbing service, you're just sending them to a lead to basically either get on the phone, etc. And there's multiple types of lead gens you could do. You could even just pay to get them in a chat and be like, answer your own chats for it and pay it. So it works across everything. You're a lawyer, accountant. Of course, those are going to be a bit more expensive because it's competitive. But even if like you're a local photographer, or if you're a local anything, local construction, you do flooring, you do windows, you're really just sending someone to a lead generation page. Of course, you can't just from the ad itself be like, I install windows, and they click on the page. It's like email, phoning. No, of course you need a page being like, what's your advantage? What's your competitive advantage? And that's one of the things you want to look at too. At the same time, is like, what is your advantage when you're a local business? Are you cheaper? Are you better quality? Are you, why are you the right choice? Why are you the best in your industry? And if you don't have a reason, better make one. Especially now that we're going into the R word, people have less money. Unless you're a bankruptcy lawyer, then you're completely fine. But it's really looking at your advantage and booking the lead from there. So, even just I was going to start up like a photography style agency, etc. Or I help photographers generate leads, but I don't want to do agency stuff anymore, just because I prefer the affiliate stuff. I don't have to deal with anybody. I could just set it up. I know all the funnel stuff. I go from there. It's the perfect life for me. But if you're a local lead generation, that's what you're really looking at. Cigar break. But this is the easiest one, because like, look, we only have one page here, and then they form some kind of contact. So it's a question of what do you get them to send, their email and phone number, or interest, or etc. And I know, so this is from a friend of mine who helps a friend with like photography leads. She'll do her ads is just like do a seasonal ad. So it's like, get your fall shoot with your kids, and they'll have a bunch of kids with like in pumpkins and stuff and a bunch of their work, and then they'll click and it'll go to like a chat messenger, and she can basically, it'll pop up, she'll message them back, be like, hey, you have any questions, etc. Let's book you in a time to do it. These are my rates. So from there you generate the lead, and you're not like competing on this whole like high ticket auto webinar, etc. like low ticket arbitrage is typically like e-com stuff. And it can work really well. You can get cheap sales for it. It just can also, like, it's getting more competitive, and there's stuff where, you know, with low ticket arbitrage and e-com, there's some big disadvantages and advantages. Like, you used to be able to drop ship from China, but during COVID, shipping times took like 7 years. That's a disadvantage, but it's an advantage where if you have a warehouse full of product and you can sell it right away. Or if you're selling fidget spinners and nobody wants to buy a fidget spinner anymore. The amount, you know, like these hype, are you selling a hype product? Or are you building a business? Or like kind of what you're selling there. You know, are you selling art? Are you customizing jackets or something like that? Or doing anything to that extent, where that's kind of like a low ticket arbitrage, where as long as you can sell it in the buffer. But of course, like if you're selling something that people are really likely to buy, which is lots of things, or if you have like the latest thing, etc., or you have some good advantage of your product, or it helps people, it's easy. And it's like almost affiliate. I typically like dealing with this, so it's like ecom without all the bullshit, because there's a lot of bullshit in ecom. So I find affiliate a bit better than this, just because of the fact that I don't have to worry about suppliers, I don't have to worry about support, I don't have to worry about absolutely anything. I just pay for ads, I get a sale, and I get paid. Support is them. Logistics, them. Legal, them. Like, we can name everything. It's all them. All I'm in charge of is just making sure I spend money. The downside for me as an affiliate is I'm putting my money on the line for it. But if I find something that I make $30 from and I can sell it for $15, I can spend $1 million and make $1 million. Mr. Patrick, do you have any questions about funnels? Or is there any funnels I missed that you'd like to talk about?
Mostly I'm just thinking about the perfect world where bankruptcy lawyers have no... I don't even know what would happen. Yeah. The only people that would go bankrupt is bankruptcy lawyers.
That would be hilarious,
like an MLM
right?
Or like a Ponzi scheme or something. I don't
No,
know.
not to... But bankruptcy lawyers can go bankrupt. They don't get any clients, which is funny, because they'll really easily be able to deal with their own bankruptcy.
Exactly. It would be really cheap.
Yeah, exactly. But of course, all these funnels are getting a lot more competitive. So if you can find some kind of spin for it, and that's why it's like you have to learn all the different funnels first. And that's kind of like something you really want to look at. And it's also putting yourself in people's shoes, I find, because as much as I say like, okay, these are all the different funnels and use one or another, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, if you crack a funnel, like let's say you get webinar just absolutely cranking. Don't fucking sit on your hands, because you only have one method that's working. And I find each funnel gets different types of people, because people have different defaults of like what they're willing to do and what they're not willing to do. Like there's lots of people that are like, I wouldn't sit on a webinar, but they also watch 3 hours of podcasts, you know? So it's like the more of these you can deploy and find profitable, or the more different mixes you get, the more types of people. So where if it's like a webinar funnel works, it's like, okay, why not try to get a VSL working, or a podcast or something else, or just add to it, or try to figure out what direction it's going into, or figure out exactly like what's kind of working next, you know? Even with all this stuff like local business lead generation, just because you're not just sending to a page with leads. There's lots of stuff, you know, you could do. You know, even with a local business, you could use all these other ones. You could have a webinar. It's going a bit far for it, but even if you had a quick webinar, like, you know, here's the top reason why plumbing fails in a house. And it's not even about your service or anything else, but those people watch the webinar. Of course, if they have a plumbing issue and you're like, holy shit, that's Harold and Peggy local plumbing. You know, they're so informative. You kind of use it as ammo. You build that brand. So they're like it's like a brand building, but every type of funnel works for almost every type of business. Like, of course, you're typically not selling e-com products with the webinar, but sometimes you are. I built about 3 funnels over the last week that are selling a product with an actual webinar itself. So it's like they tried all of it, and they're making hybrids, and they're making everything else. And you really have to see what's going big and everything. And also knowing that, like, everyone wants a perfect world where you instantly convert somebody. But as we kind of go into the R word, you know, and the economy somewhat attracts, you got to realize it's probably going to be a multi-touch journey, and prices change for it. Where sometimes you want to do something like, let's say for the webinar that was booked to the webinar to the call, and you sold the book and you got their money and etc. I find during recession times you're in two types of economies, like where arbitrage works, like direct response, and you're in other times where it takes more clicks, so you have to hit them more. You have to be a bit more romantic, you know. There's 3 girls on an island and a cruise ship of dudes just landed there. You got to be better. You gotta increase your skills, but or it's like a longer sales cycle to some extent. So like during a recession, giving away free is the best way to start, because your cost per free, like let's say for a business, if it costs you $5 to just give away something free and get them as a lead so you can continue marketing them, etc. During a recession, since people aren't just like going in, they're not going landing page to book sale, landing page to bike
what
sale.
What funnel is this, Matt? What funnel do you have right now for your product?
So landing page hidden as a publication, and that's mainly typically I have a couple other funnels I'm testing out too, because I don't sit on like, I have something that works, but I'm like, I ain't done yet until I can make it better.
So those are your offers, but I meant like with your streaming thing, is that another type of funnel too, where there's like
maybe you guys could be in a funnel right now and you wouldn't fucking know it,
right?
Because good marketers, the best marketing is when you don't know you're actually getting marketed to. Exactly. I don't like telling my audience that, because we're like, wait a second.
Well, you're talking to sophisticated people here.
Yeah, no, it is sophisticated people, and you have to think about that. So it's like, even for me, myself, it's like I'm giving away stuff for free that people charge thousands for. It's like the whole disruption thing, where it's like, on my side, I'd rather get people a result before they give me a penny. I'd rather make people the money that it takes to hire me before I take their money, if that makes sense. And I believe it's an ethical, good way to do it, where it's just because then, you know, it's just in general, it's like, you know, plumber goes in and fixes your plumbing for free because you're like, you know what, you know, don't pay for it now, but if you ever build a house, use me as your plumber and I'll set you up and make sure this doesn't happen again. You're calling that fucking plumber every single time, you know, you get to that point. So no, I think it's a long form journey, and also like attention is worth a lot, having an audience, and having an audience versus just very cold of like, if I did sell a course or something like that, where it's like I'm giving away what people, I've done all the affiliate courses, and I want to give away I want to give away more than what they charge for on my side, and then, you know, basically make them a bunch of money, give them stuff that works, and then help them out beyond that, get them to the more advanced level, where it's like, oh, you think this is crazy, you think replacing your income with making money online was nuts, like let's get you that Lambo. And no, of course I'm not going to make those promises or anything like that, but it's also, in my opinion, it's a good service to people. You know, you get more reach out of it in general. You got to think of like the Joe Rogan model. You know, Joe Rogan makes more money than anybody, and he gives his stuff away for free. He doesn't have anything you pay for. Anything. You don't have to pay Joe Rogan a cent to watch Joe Rogan. You watch it on Spotify free.
Why is it that Joe Rogan has so much freedom and you have so much freedom too, kind of?
I think it's more the long-term method. Like there's lots of, it's kind of, and you know, I harped on agencies before for being like, okay, here's the issue. You know, it's like you don't care about conversions. You just go for reach. But reach and audience are why like all these companies like Facebook, and like they don't make money. All these massive companies that get an audience, they know that like, you know, there's a big point where Facebook didn't make a cent and it was worth billions of dollars, because it's like that reach and that influence and everything. You make your money a different way. It becomes a byproduct. So it's basically you're providing a service completely free.
You have cheat codes.
It's completely at a loss. And I think it's like more of a long-term strategy. And short-term strategies work. Like, and I think like a lot of what this is right here is I'm teaching people short-term strategies while I do a long-term strategy. And then when I get them success with short-term strategies, I'll be like, all right, you know, you got to this point, and then now let's look at the long-term strategy for it. Because even like, for example, you want to put a long-term strategy in somewhat everything. So like the landing page I create that's hidden as a publication, what I'm doing is, yeah, I'm getting sales and I'm building a database and everything, but what actually is worth a lot of money in the end, like where you get the value from it, is the publication you're going to be able to sell. So I could teach people, it's like, all right, you just made a ton of money with your publication. Now let's take $1 million exit on it, or let's take a $10 million exit on it, or like, let's sell that publication and get you to do, you know, we could do it. You could do it again. You could do something else. It's like, what's your passion? What do you want to do for it? So it's like, you want to have that too at the same time. But I believe everyone, the problem with the world in general is, you know, people like to make short-term decisions, never think of the long, but every company, they find something that works and they stop there, you know, where it's like, that's stopping. It's like, once you get the result you want, it's like, all right, we're good. Fuck the future. We're making money now. You know, I got tons of money. Everything's good. Life's good, etc. But it's like, all right, well, let's do good for the world. So this also in general is just kind of my service to the world. What do I want to be? What do I want to do? You have to ask yourself every time. It's like, if you made $1 trillion after you're done partying, you know, while you're out of the world, buying all the stuff you want, you buy everything you want. Hey, congratulations. You know, if your yacht, your private plane, who cares? Who cares what it is? I don't have that much requirements. I got my $10,000 computer. I'm happy. You know, house is great. Kids are happy. I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. After all that, it's like, what would you do? That's the question. Like, what do you enjoy? What do you really enjoy doing? And like, even for the, oh wow, we got some spam in the chat. We got private dating chat. So
that's
sorry
just answering what you would do.
Yeah, exactly. So
Girls.
no, basically, what you ask yourself that, and at that point, what would you do? You know, and the answer is, for me, it's I would teach. I'm doing that now. You know, I have the other stuff figured out. Like, I make enough affiliate money alone where I can provide for my family. I never have to do anything else on top of it. But it's also a thing of just like, what would you do in the end? And if you ask yourself that question, it's kind of like, it's interesting because everybody has all these short-term things they want to do with money. But what happens when traveling gets boring, when beaches get boring? Everybody, it's like you go on vacation to sit on a beach and drink and do whatever. But by the time you're done the vacation, you're like, I'm so bored of sitting on a beach and drinking. You can't do that every day of your life. You know, everything gets boring. Like, okay, you got your fast car. It's good. You know, you feel great about yourself. Like, you know, what would you do at that point? What do you want to do? How do you give back? How do you add value? So it's kind of like my search of that too, where once your needs are met, money doesn't make any difference. It's just fun tokens. It doesn't at all. Like, the difference between making 10,000 a month, 40,000 is nothing, 50,000 is nothing. There's no additional feeling for it, you know. But getting to that point, you know, the difference between struggling or, you know, having debt or just all this other stuff, that's a big uplift. Like, when you feel that way, where the pressure's off, when you have like, when you're like, okay, I could survive for the next 5 years, or I could survive for the next 20 years, or blah 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 on top of it. So it's kind of like, once you take care of that, you have to look at it. If you can do it all at the same time, that's great. And that's why I recommend, when people do niches, it's, you know, everybody wants to be like, what has the most money? I want to sell health supplements. I want to do this and that and etc. I don't recommend that you just look at the niche for what makes the most money. Make less money and do something that you actually like, and you'll make more money. Because that's just how it works. It's like the way you go about it. It's always like, when you have that mindset of just you go about it the wrong way. You know, it's just like, even so, a lot of my fulfillment I got at my previous agency was the people that I built up, you being one of them, you know, from nothing to marketing master and everything else. And like, I noticed, like, you know, one of the guys would be like, you know, I want this. You know, I want to just get to this point and I'm so frustrated and everything else. And I'm like, no, you're thinking about it wrong. It's like, no, just think about like you're making it all about money, and money's the worst thing to make it about because you make wrong decisions based on that. You do everything for money and not for the long term. Versus if you're like, I just want to be good at this. I want to do this really well. You know, it's like being motivated. I'm going to become a soccer player so I can make money versus I want to be the best soccer player. It's like, who's going to train better? Somebody who wants to be the best, and that's their goal, their motivation, where it's like, I want to do this really well. I want to learn this. I want to do this or that, or, you know, I want to sell these products, or I want to do this niche, or this is something that I really like. It's like, pick a publication that it doesn't have to be directly, you know, you don't get to directly pick what you want to do, or else smoking cigars and drinking would pay me and I wouldn't have to do anything affiliate, you know, and whatever, doing lives. But
hey, maybe streaming will take off. It's
well,
working out.
Yeah. Well, no, that's exactly it. That's exactly it too, where it's like, you know, well, you say that, but too at the same time, but streaming as a lifestyle probably wouldn't be that good. Maybe it's not that good. Maybe I wouldn't get as much fulfillment. But my kind of stream, I feel like I would, because I'm not just playing video games and being like, oh, you guys are all weird. You're all weird, and I live in LA and LA and LA and. You know,
you're just sweating over getting more views.
Yeah, or
you know,
and that. But versus, it's like you don't have to just, if you're picking a niche based on, of like, for what I do, like the reason why I do it as a parenting niche is I'm a parent, and I believe it's like at the same time I'm gonna have good impact to the world. Like I want to help parents get awesome products, and like that's where my ethic kicks in and everything else. And you kind of have to go broad with it. So I'm not passionate about strollers. I don't give a fuck about strollers. But, you know, if I could sell a product that helps parents save a life of a child, which I have, then there we go. That's that feels good. You know, that's one of those things, like parenting's good. And I like the whole survival, prepper, remedy, and all that other space. That works out good for me. And there's a lot of people, like, you know, you're a fitness trainer, you should look into these supplements. And if you believe the supplements that are being sold on affiliate are shit, then do other ones, do better ones, you know, be like, all right, I'm going to change it up. I'm going to find really fucking good products that's actually going to make big differences and everything else. And like, there we go. That's the proper motivation, because you're doing it out of a passion project and not just like, I need that money. I need side hustle us to pay. You'll do better in general, and the most important part is you're going to enjoy your time a lot more too at the same time. You know, you're going to, and anything you enjoy your time on, like one of the best ways that I've always learned stuff is I forced myself to really like it. That's like a hack. If you want to learn something better, you know, think of it's like empathetic. The mechanics. Think of the mechanics that, you know, that they love cars and everything about it. And they're the best mechanics because they're like, they hear a car drive by and they're like, yeah, that thing is a leaky fucking lug nut, valve, gasket, blah, blah, blah. Or that's a, you know, that's a V8, but it's not running lean enough. Or here's a misfire there or everything. Versus a mechanic who's like, I want to be a mechanic to make money. They're going to do whatever it takes to make money. Versus the other mechanic is going to be someone who knows everything about a car and they love what they do. And of course, so with everything that you love, there's shitty things from it, like marketing sometimes sucks. As you know, it's a problem solve thing and everything else, so you have to realize there is going to be bad stuff with it.
Sucks, but it's fun because it's an up and down thing, and that makes it fun.
Well, it's like for anything that's really hard, you feel really good when you figure it out. You know what I mean? If it comes easy, you don't get that same feeling. But with marketing, it's hard. You know, you got to do it. You're like, I can give shortcuts and everything else, but I had to spend years and years on it to become as good as I am now. But you know, you start to enjoy it as it's like a problem solving thing, which is why I think like hence why I'm streaming on Twitch right now. It's like, I believe gamers have the best chance of being good marketers, because all it is in the end is just problem solving. You're just problem solving for marketing all the time, and that's all that gaming is too. So it's the same kind of thing. I like to call it my Rubik's Cube. And it's just like the work that you do is really fun and dynamic, and it changes up a lot and everything else. And you learn a lot. You learn a lot about human psychology and just everything and numbers. And you try really hard at something, and it's like pushing a rock up a mountain. It's like, you get there, you try your first try, you make it close, and then you make it slightly better and you do it. And, it may take, even with like you and getting clients and just having a breakthrough for them, the feeling, you jump on that meeting and you're like, I am the greatest, don't worry, I'm here to save thy. Like, don't worry, I got you, client. You're helping somebody else out. You've been through that struggle. You got the whole story. People love stories, and that's like the perfect example of stories is marketing, of just like, you go through that with a client, you finally crack it, you find the funnel that works the best for them, they're close, and you optimize it, you optimize the funnel, and you get it to that point, or you find the right creative, you find an absolute banger. Like, you find a Peggy testimonial, and she's just like, I love this product, blah, blah, blah. Other Peggies see it, and they're like, I want to be Peggy too. And they buy the product, and everything's good. And of course, as long as they're, it's a good product, and it's helping and everything. It's just the whole creating value. And yeah, the more value you have, the more money you're worth, and everything with that. Like, when I did my first agency, I thought I was rich at the very beginning. I made like $3,000 a month, and I was like, I am fucking rich. And then it went up to like $5,000 a month, and I'm like, damn, this is crazy. And then it went up to $10,000 a month, and I'm like a fucking doctor salary right now. It's like, where's my goddamn caviar? And then it goes up and up and up from that, and it just all gets relative and everything. Like, it doesn't have the same thing, but a lot of it, I knew I could have made more at the time, but I also had the advantage where I was working with the coolest clients in the world, like the Olympics and ICC cricket, ATP tennis, UEFA, like all the biggest clients, where I met awesome people too at the same time. You notice, like, some of the really good entrepreneurs are just like, geez, they're good people. A lot of them have their life figured out. They're good people. They have like the same kind of attitude. They're good people to talk to. They're themselves, they're that's one of the big things of entrepreneurs. They act like they don't care. They're nice, loose people, and they're great. They're friendly. They don't have all these motives and everything, because they have all their damages taken care of in life. So, a lot of them don't come with that. So I've met some of the best people in marketing. And wow, we ran out of soundtrack here. Start it up again. Let's go. Bam. Also, the thing is too, why I want to teach marketing is I don't expect, like, I don't want people's lifetime passion to be affiliate marketing, if you know what I mean. Like, it doesn't have to be, like, I'm not saying like let affiliate marketing be your passion, but it also, like, when you learn how to do this, you learn how to create demand for any business type. So, like, let's say you learn all this stuff, you learn landing pages, you learn marketing, etc. You're advertising other people's products. It's great. Well, maybe your goal in general is like, I want to make the best bowling that Syracuse, New York has ever seen. Best bowling alley it's ever seen. And it's like, with all the lessons here, you can use it to basically create and run a successful business. There's so many like lessons from it. The demand side is the most important. Everybody has this dream, but they never factor like, how am I going to get people there? Because everyone has this view of just like, I'll make it. Like, if you build it, they will come. Kevin Costner, Field of Dreams. Like, no, if you build it, they won't come. If you market it, they will come.
Even if you don't build it.
Yeah, even if you don't build it. There's people that market vaporware, not even build it. But like, you can build it, but just having the expectation like, oh, it's going to be awesome, people will come. It's like, okay, how will they know about it? How will it be awesome? Is it awesome though? Are you spending so much that, like, how much do you have to pay per customer, and how will you get people there? And it's like, if you could figure out the demand side of any business whatsoever, like if you could figure out this marketing stuff and funnels and get it really cheap, you'll be the best at any business you want to run. So like, start it with a publication. Maybe you're selling bowling stuff, bowling courses, bowling books, bowling pins, bowling balls. Like, there's lots of stuff there. Use that to fund your bowling alley. And then when you make the bowling alley and you spend all that money, you get an idea of like, okay, this is how I'm going to get customers. I'm going to really control this and take care of it, because there's like, it's nothing makes me more sad than an amazing business that never sees enough people. You know, they go out of business because they're like, why didn't people come? And then they start to get the whole like, you know, it's this fault of this, or like because of this and everything else. It's like, you know, if biggest goal ever would be to get somebody success with affiliate marketing, make them a bunch of money, and have them not go on to be a super affiliate, best affiliate in the world, because then you're stomping on my territory, son. No, but to go out, you know, create their passion project. That's what I did. I became really, really good at digital marketing, and now it's turned into, yeah, I still do the affiliate stuff to make my money and everything I need to support my life, but it's like now I have the freedom to do a passion project where I can do stuff like give everything away for free and worry about monetizing later. Do good, help the world, you know. It's like after, so question for you, Pat, who's an avid paintball fan. So all my paintball homies, hit up Pat. Like imagine you do something like this. You're into sports and everything too. You create, you know, you do all this stuff. You niche your landing page about sports. Bro, there's tons of sports products and etc. You get really good at it. You make a ton of money, and then you can fund and make your own paintball field. And a lot of people, they want to make their own paintball field, and they do it. And it's hard. Like, of course, they'll be listed in directories and stuff, but you know how to advertise. So you're getting corporate events, you're making more money than them, and they're like, what the hell? It's not even a better paintball field than ours, or etc. Where it's kind of like, you're kind of looking to the end of it. Like, the whole, what would you do if you had $1 trillion thing? You know, I'm trying to get you guys $1 trillion here.
Oh,
At
my
least
friend
enough.
and I already spoke about this. It's been a childhood dream since we were like 12. But the thing is, paintball is such a small community that I actually know all the field owners around here.
Yeah.
And I like them. And I don't want to put them out of business.
No, but you could always find a spot where there isn't, or do something,
Exactly,
a mix of it. Do an indoor paintball field that's year round, or something like that, or you know what I mean? Like you don't have to stomp on people for it, but and that's completely fine. But it's like, if you could do that, you know, you'd at least be able to create the demand for it. And it's not only like, everyone has this view like, oh, paintball, not many people do paintball. Well, guess what, bud? Someone has to bring it back, and there's always someone who brings it back. Like, someone's responsible for it. Skateboarding got big because of all the skateboarders. You know?
Advertising.
Well, no, it's just like you can help revive a sport that had a massive growth and kind of went down a bit, and you know, it's your whole thing. Like the business owners that are passionate about it, they're the ones who grow the community. So everyone always worries about like, oh, the existing community's small, but it's like, yeah, but what if you got like the next generation into paintball? You know, you did some good ads, you hit principals, you got some schools coming there at the same time and everything else, and you spread it. Spread the word.
Speaking to my heart.
Yeah, you can spread the word of it, because you know,
that's
it's like
100% what I want to do.
So it's like, you don't want to give yourself that limitation where it's like, you know, the world is really big too, and it's amazing how well niche products can work. There's this one guy who sold courses on horse roping, which I didn't even know was a bloody thing. Millionaire, made millions from it, sold to billions of people. Like, for every little niche, there's so many people, and there's so many people where it's like, yeah, he would have sold lots into it, but how many people did he bring into the sport? You know, what was 50% new people? Even if it was 25, who cares? You know, he obviously had a course of value and everything else, and was able to make the arbitrage work. And it's just like, bam. Well, it wasn't actually his. He was just a marketer that helped grow this one product. But I think it's one of those really good examples where it's like, think long term about it. And that's why I don't want to make affiliate just like, you know, just search by top products, find the top products and compete with all the other guys selling it. You don't need to do that. It may be a little bit harder for you, but it's going to feel a lot better when you're done, and you kind of set yourself up for the next step too. where it's like you even being a sports fan or soccer fan, you could sell soccer training kits and everything like that, or like there's lots of things. There's this one of the most successful. It did 600K a week, was basketball cards for basketball coaches. So it was like all these cards of all the plays and everything else. And I was like, how the fuck, how many basketball coaches are there in the world? And guess what? There's a lot of schools in every single fucking town.
Wow.
There's a lot of
basketball cards for coaches.
Yeah, sold that 600K a week product constantly.
What?
Advertised
Who's
for
buying
years.
that?
Basketball
Damn.
coaches. There's so many more. Like, you think there's a limited amount because it's based on the people you know.
You're like
The world is a
trading
big
cards
place. The world is a big place. You could, they're training cards where it's like all these cards that help you be a better basketball coach.
Oh, training.
Well, no,
cards.
not even like training.
Yep, I remember this. No, I remember.
Yeah,
you
where
told me.
it's
I think you said
basketball
trading
cards.
Like, you know,
No.
you have like Michael Jordan card. I thought you meant like.
No.
Okay,
Michael
okay,
Jordan.
gotcha.
Yeah,
I thought you
that's...
meant like some coach.
No.
Cheeto,
Well,
like
the
coach
basketball
card.
trading card is bigger than that. There's more people buying basketball trading cards than there are basketball coaches in the world. So it's like a lot of people, they worry about like niches and everything else, and there's not enough. And it's just like, and Alex Hermosi, you know, a big digital marketing guy, he just sold to gym owners, and there's a lot of gyms around. You know, if you have a system that works, if you could provide value for it, where it's like, fuck, imagine, like, look up how many paintball fields are in the US. Sell a paintball, like, teach paintball fields how to make money with marketing, or sell a service to them or something else, or do something like affiliate where like, hey, if I could bring you a new paintball client, like if I could get someone in, will you give me a cut of the sale, or, you know, whatever. Basically these people wouldn't have went to your course regardless, so it's freebie on top. Let's work out a deal. You know, it's just like that. I guarantee you there's thousands of them. Let's see, how many paintball fields?
The fact that you can
1758. Yeah, the fact that you can find the answer. Well, then you go in the world.
Well, that's in 2016, so there's less.
Yeah,
and
there's
less. Ouch. The downward trend, isn't it?
It's a downward trend. They say so. 2016, 30,000 people play. So 4,025 businesses, 30,000 people, which is still quite a bit, but you could bring people in.
Also divided into two markets where you got kind of casual people and then tournament like.
Well, you have that, and then you also have the airsoft cunts.
Exactly, airsoft, and there's just a whole bunch of different buckets. It's an interesting market, but I don't know.
And then you just pick the funnel that would work best for a paintball, and you do some kind of lead gen, where you take care of everybody's what everybody's basically going to say, like what their objections are. Like, I don't own a paintball gun. It's like, guess what's included with your ticket? It's like, here's this deal. Come to the paintball field, you get a gun, you get all the equipment.
Yeah,
you're ready to go.
I can answer these in a heartbeat, right? Instead of having to research a niche and like understand.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. So it's just like, what's the end goal for my grasshoppers? It's that.
Have fun.
I don't care. You don't have to. Yeah, of course. I want you to make lots of money with affiliate marketing. But from that, it's like the lessons you gain from it are worth more for you than the actual affiliate marketing. Like, once you learn how to affiliate market, you can market anything. You can market anything. You could be a landing page designer. You could be a graphic. You could do whatever you want. Let's say you're creative on that side. It doesn't matter.
Hey, you're a money printer.
No,
I don't
that's
want to think
exactly
about
it.
it like that. I know you don't want to think about it like that, but
No, but you do at the same time.
you're an arbitrage machine, or you can be.
Because a lot of the people that I sell to they're not at that base yet. I'm not selling to the people that already make $20,000 a month. You know, I'm not selling to me. I'm trying to bring the consumer up to some extent. Teach them skills. Everything I've learned. You know, like I said, I got more from helping people than I did from helping businesses. Of course, if I like the people in the business, that helped quite a bit, because then I'm helping people. and businesses at the same time, etc. But yeah, it's pretty much like all these different things will work, and you'll see in the affiliate world there's all kinds of it, and you really just want to take note and just put yourself in other people's shoes of just like, what's the best way to sell this? Like, when have I bought before? Or, you know, I put myself in, I put on my loafers, I get in Herald mode, and I go through my funnel. Be like, all right, what's Harold's objections on this? What's his past experience, etc. If I was Harold, what would get me to buy it? You know, if I was going through it. So what no one ever does is click their ads and actually go through their own funnels. They don't.
Empathetic.
It's like, you know, for me, Matt, do you watch your own streams? Yeah. Not embarrassed. But you want to figure out what you could do better from it. Or like, you know, you see that user journey of like what makes sense, what doesn't. Like one thing I can improve on and that I should start doing is really getting, when I do the intro to the stream, is doing more about like what it's about, just so I don't get the drop off from the beginning. You know, maybe less sponsor spots from Monster and Rolex. So, no, that's really it. Where it's like, step one, make that money. Make that affiliate money, you know? Get that freedom. Step two, after you make that money, spend some of that money. Upgrade your life. Feel good. Then step three, figure out what you're passionate about and just apply all the knowledge you have for it to create demand. That's all marketing is in the end. It's how efficient can you be at the demand cycle. And a lot of people don't even, it's like one of those things, if you don't think about it, it still exists, you know? Like, it's still there. It's like, I don't think about road laws when I'm speeding down the road, but they're still there, and it'll get you. It's an important part, you know? But I got good lawyers. But yeah, you know, it's easy to dream about a business, but not realizing how important the demand side is. Because if you had one, like let's say if you had the demand side perfected, it's so much easier to put a business in place there. You know, if your first thing is, hey, I got all these people, how do I make money from them? Versus, you know, here's my idea, people are going to give me money. It's just a better way of looking at it. That's like the Joe Rogan way of doing it. It's like, I got all these people, how do I make money? He could sell anything. He could do anything, and he does. He does lots of stuff.
You're farther upstream. So,
yeah, I'm further upstream, but I also have to be in order to teach this stuff. Because if I was Matt, the affiliate that's never made money on affiliates and sold a course, which a lot of people do, you know, there's a lot of shit courses out there where people just try to like, oh, I want this lifestyle, so I'm going to do this, but they haven't done it themselves. How are they going to provide value for it? So it's just like, it's really easy to get people to a level that you've already surpassed significantly. It's a lot easier than like, all right, team, let's do it all together. Has anyone figured out the funnel thing yet? Yeah, I'm trying to figure out funnels, but let me teach you about affiliate marketing. Or like, you know, I've only ever sold 3 affiliate products versus being, oh, platinum. Oh, it's so heavy. So heavy. I don't do it to brag or anything. You just need that social proof. You need your person, like the people that you follow. Like, I can't take a billionaire's advice on how to make well, maybe. But at the very beginning, I can't take advice from a billionaire to make $1 billion because they use different strategies than what it takes from going from like, you know, basically meeting your needs to exceeding your needs. Like that's a different step, but I've gone through that step. And, you know, I'm on some other steps. So it's the people that you definitely want to learn from. But there's so many people in the whole coaching industry where they teach, they're like, that's their method. I'm going to teach you how to get there. And I'm going to get there by teaching you how to get there. And then it's like, well, they can't possibly take your path. You know, it's not a possibility. They're not going to be able to teach you to get there if they've never been there. And they got there a different way with a different function by pretending they did and then getting a whole bunch of people. So that's one of those things. And I also think like this is a great industry, especially for certain types of minded people, you know? I could still teach a Peggy and a Harold how to do this. Definitely, you know, teaching somebody who doesn't want to do this how to do it. I don't really fully want to do that. Gotta have motivation, you know? It also makes it better for me if I take clients where it's like, hey, I took all your free stuff and I got a result, and I know they're action takers and everything else, because there's so many people that will buy a course and they don't do anything and stuff, and I don't want dead weight. It's a horrible way to put it, and I don't blame them for it. Doing anything is really hard. Like you gotta find motivation somewhere. You know, a lot of really good business owners have some kind of, I call it like the Eminem effect, where, you know, he grew up in such poverty that it emotionally changed him and almost gave him like a mental deformity where he has to make lots of money and become huge and everything else because he's just so hungry for it. You know, he's so scared. You're either fear motivated or you're like motivated for goals. And, you know, a lot of people are I'll probably even admit that I'm kind of like, to some extent, I'm fear motivated, you know, because I have a lot of goals and I fear not making them will make me not fulfilled in life. Not everybody has. I don't judge anybody for anything. Like, if you're happy as fuck, you work at McDonald's flipping burger, hell yeah. I see people like, you know, you can tell they're on the seawall, you know, the same thing we went down. They got their skateboard, their boombox, they're blasting music, just having the time of their life. I'm like, that motherfucker's winning. I don't care. It doesn't matter how much money. And one of the most important lessons I've learned was from somebody who's worth like hundreds of millions. And he had a FedEx driver come to his house, and the guy was blown away, like, oh my God, I would love to be you. And he said to him, he's like, I would love to be you, driving around all day, meeting all these people, dropping off packages. It's such a beautiful day. I'd love to do that. That sounds fucking amazing. I'm here planning out my estate with lawyers and going over numbers of companies I invested in. Like, this is what I'm doing every single day. You know, I'm trapped here. I've such a big net worth that it's a burden on my life. He's like, I look at you and I'm jealous of your life as much as you're jealous of mine.
Yeah, just got to be happy at the end of the day with whatever the hell you have.
Well, yeah, that's it. And you should still have goals and everything else and want to be better. It's, you know, it's a whole, I forget what that one saying is, but it's like, where it's like, it's hard to achieve goals, but nothing feels worse than regret. Bum, bum,
Good
bum.
timing.
I know. Take that nicotine in. According to Andrew Tate, I have to look angry when I'm smoking a cigar, and it's better.
I
don't know.
Maybe.
Well, that's for
Depends on
him.
What kind of face you got? Yeah, he might have resting whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, if you have
What it
Peggy
works best
resting
with.
bulldog.
Exactly. Resting bulldog face.
Just always angry. Well, Peggy is always angry. Let's be serious.
Look at that.
That's her default. She defaults at angry. You know, sometimes she gets excited. She's filling that angry gap with my products. And I'm trying to sell her products that are good in general. That she could give a little smile for. First smile she's given since fucking 87. Because she fucking hates Harold, that's for damn sure. Her and Harold, they've been through some shit.
Or Harold's beaten down.
Yeah, Harold's beaten down. He's just living in his own dream world.
Yeah, Harold's on the other.
Yeah, he's got the filter on, the Peggy
Dick pill
filter.
niche. Sorry, Harold.
Yep.
Sorry, any kids watching.
Sorry, any kids. But
Future marketers.
yeah, and that's really like, there's lots more funnels and everything you could send them down. There used to be funnels like giveaway funnels, and like the qualification at the beginning of a funnel can really make it.
You can put a quiz in front of any funnel there, right?
Yeah, but like a giveaway you can, but you got to think of how many people drop off, because what's their motivation? So yeah, you may have got 1 cent clicks and you gave away a Tesla. But it's like, are those people actually going to buy your product? No.
So maybe the funnel type would be to give a lot of value for a low price at the start, as like an
And that's kind of what
enticement and
it goes to. Because I have a good friend. He does photography products, makes millions from them. And not like physical products, but like just like photography training, etc. And he gives away some of it for free at the beginning, and this is his best lead magnet to get sales for it. He gives them a sample of the product. It's like there's a reason why a multi-billion-dollar corporation like Costco gives away. They have their own funnel, you know, and it's their own testing and everything else of like every sale. When you're in physical, like when you're in retail, the whole thing is a funnel. All the product placement, everything, it's always being tested, you know. Those samples aren't free. They take your goddamn soul. But there's lots of free stuff. Or you could give it all away for free and then just build a massive audience. And that's like the YouTuber model. 100%. It's a YouTuber model. It's a Twitch model. It's the OnlyFans. No, it's not the OnlyFans model. Well, that's how they monetize after. You know, they build an audience first. They give it all away for free. You think that they're holding so much back on YouTube? No. They just want those views to go up. And of course they make ad revenue and everything else, but it's the model we're going into right now. You have to give something away for free to prove your value. And no better objection handling than being like, hey, here, have it, use it. You know? You just also have to worry that when you give it away for free, how are people going to value it for their time? Are they going to use it? You know, you could also give away a course for free. Like the advantage to a high ticket course, 4,000 to 7,500, is you'll have more people do it than $100 course. Like if you're like, okay, I'll just auto webinar for $97. It's like, well, you're probably gonna have less people doing the course because it's also perceived value too of the course itself.
That's the
Which is also the scary part of free.
part.
But also free helps you pick up the people. Like if you can give them a result, like Joe Rogan does it free just because quality doesn't fully matter. And I can technically sell to everybody and consumers, pretty much you name it. So,
well, then there's also having free, but then having like the Patreon paywall side.
yeah, no, there's that. There's like the supporter economy and everything else to it. Like those are, if you view everything as a funnel, it really opens your eyes of just like everything free you watch isn't free. You know, everything you do, not free. It's all kind of a funnel. And then, you know, unless the business doesn't actually have a funnel itself and there's no proper conversion to it or etc. There can be. It just will be very inefficient versus one that you can track and get specific audience and everything else. But all right, I think I'm in this fireside chat. A funnel, economics of funnel. This is like philosophy.
Yeah,
Funnel
it's
slash
late for me
philosophy.
too, so
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know
3
what I've been
o'clock.
saying.
Well, it's late for everybody. That's why we don't have too many lives today. But lots of people will watch it after the fact. And I hope I gave you guys value. One of the best things you could do to give yourself value is to engage and ask me questions, because I'll answer them for free. It's like, especially if you have access to a resource that typically most people would pay for. The amount of people message me for being like, hey Matt, can you give me can you teach me how to do it? And I tell them, like, I give it all the way for free. You just have to watch the courses. They're like, no, I'd rather you just teach me how to do it. I'm like, all right. Like a consulting thing. It's interesting. But if you have the time, and you don't have the money, find a free resource. Find a mentor for it. I've been mentored all along the way. Not so much when I started a business, but yeah, there's even then I had people I looked up to and like you'd self-mentor and learn your own lessons. But yeah, let's end it here. Hour 44 minutes talking about funnels. The affiliate ones are interesting. I wasn't going to fully go into them, but kind of just breaking down. And there's a lot more than this. I could talk a lot more about affiliate funnels. These are just some of the basic ones that you could find out about. But all right, stream. Cheers. Make yourself that sweet affiliate money so you can unlock your dreams, achieve the ultimate achievement, which is feeling great. All right, bye.